Hi, I'm Nan Simonson. Some of you know me from my book, Aging Powerfully. My point for writing that book was to emphasize that we can age with power through our 70s, 80s, 90s, and beyond if we take good care of ourselves. You can start that in your 20s and 30s, and you're a lot smarter than some of us who are starting it in our later years. A couple of years ago, I decided that after a thorough search, the best diet for me was whole food, plant-based. And so the recipes that I show on my website, my YouTube channel, are all whole food, plant-based, in other words, vegan recipes. You don't have to do that in order to age powerfully. I think it's one of the best ways, but you can make some decisions to take very good care of yourself, sleep enough, de-stress, move, exercise, eat whole foods. Plant-based is best, but as many plants as you can get to feed your microbiome that takes care of your body. One of the things I'm going to show you today, or the thing I'm going to show you today, is how to cook what I call my staple in my whole food plant-based diet, and that is beans. And in this case, I'm showing you garbanzo beans. I'm going to just start it, and then I'll get back to you at the end and show you what I do to store them. I actually keep them in the freezer like a bag of, corn. In other words, they're frozen separately. They're in a freezer baggie, and I can unzip it and pull out hands full for a hummus or for a curry, to defrost and put on my daily salad, and it's a convenient way to do it. So let's get started. I had 2 pounds of chickpeas, garbanzo beans. They look a lot just like this when they're dry, except that they're more wrinkled. And let me back up. 2 pounds is about 4 cups, and I had 2 pounds. By the time I soak them, they double or triple that amount. So I'm going to put them in my 8-quart Instant Pot. I love the Instant Pot because it's easy. I get to walk away and it takes care of itself. Also, pressure cooked beans tend to have their most difficult to digest parts broken down, and for some people they're easier to eat. You can also control the sodium. When you buy canned beans, you pay more for beans that have low sodium, or they're harder to find. And so it's just easy to do. This morning before we went on our walk up the mountain, that's about an hour that we go up a local mountain, a 4-mile path, I put on the beans to soak, not put them on, but I put them in a bowl to soak, and they're ready now. It's 4:30, and so what is that, a 9-hour soak? That's long enough. I have a bag of kombu. I bought some online. They came from Korea, and on the back there was a warning that there could be heavy metals in the kombu. Boom, that went out to my compost pile. And this is from Japan, hand harvested, cold, clear waters. I know they had a nuclear spill there, but I trust this brand. And the point of the kombu, it's a sea vegetable, is that you add some minerals. You only need a half of, you know what, I'm gonna throw the whole thing in. You get some minerals from it, and some say that it makes the beans easier to digest. I like the little bit of flavor, that little bit of salty umami that I get from it. I'm also going to add some herbs. I have a couple of bay leaves. I grow a little bay plant. It's Laurus nobilis, that's bay laurel. And I keep it, just a few feet off the ground. Otherwise, it'll become a 60-foot tree. But that way I have fresh bay leaves. I have some oregano. Some call it marjoram oregano. I'm going to throw that in. I have some rosemary. I'm going to throw that in. And I'm also putting in, and I don't have to do any of that. I could just leave it plain, especially if I am not going to use what they call pot liquor. That means the juice from or the broth from the beans, but I like it. You can put that in rice. You can use it to cook vegetables. I think it's really flavorful. And I'm gonna put a celery, a carrot, boom. And then I'm gonna sink this onion. If I chop up the onion, even halve it, by the time I get it out of there, I'm fishing it out and it's falling apart. So I just sort of quartered it and kept the stem intact. And I'm gonna bury it in there, but I'll be able to get it out easily. On top, I'm going to put 4 cloves of peeled garlic. And I like a little spice, so I have a couple of dried Thai peppers I'm gonna put in. Now, in the pressure cooker, when you're making beans, you don't have to cover them with water the way you would in a pot, unless you want plenty of pot liquor. So I'm starting with 8 cups of water, and oops, it's coming to just even with the beans, and I'm gonna leave it at that. I want the pot liquor to be concentrated. I don't want a lot of it. Sometimes I can use it for another super stew, but I already have that in the freezer. You know what? I'm gonna put a little bit more because it wasn't covering the vegetables. And we're set. I don't know if you knew this, but your Instant Pot has that handy feature that allows you to do something with this big awkward cover. Put it on, snap it in, set pressure cook. It's on high. I'm gonna set this, because they've been soaked, I'm gonna set this for 18 minutes, and that's all. With this pressure cooker, it's going to start. I have a 6-quart as well, and I do the maneuvering, and then I push start. And in this case, I don't have to, and you heard that beep, beep, beep. That was saying to me, okay, we've followed instructions, we're on. I'm gonna let this cook. It's gonna take a while to come up to pressure. I'm gonna let it cook. I'm gonna let it naturally release for at least 20 minutes, and then we're done. Now, if I didn't want a natural release, I would let it cook longer. I would have it cook, 6 minutes longer, and then I would release it within 5 minutes of cooking. But I like to do it this way, and I think it's the best way. And I have a recommendation for you. Jill Nisanow is has a graduate degree in science, and she's a registered dietitian. I really like her book, Vegan Under Pressure. She's creative, she writes well, her recipes turn out deliciously, and that's a recommendation. Vegan Under Pressure, Jill Nisanow. You'll find it in Amazon, and I'll talk to you in just a bit. Hi, I'm back. So the Instant Pot came to pressure, went through 18 minutes, released pressure or natural release for 20 minutes. I took off the pressure. Everything was done, oh gosh, actually a couple of hours ago. I've unplugged the pot, that's why it doesn't have the light on. And this is what it looks like inside. And you see that? You can even see my scored onion. So I'm going to lift the things out that I'm not going to use into my compost bin. And that's the celery. Oh, look what happens to the kombu. It's just kind of rubbery. I've tasted it before because I really like it, but I decided I'm not going to eat it. Don't know why, but I didn't. And I'm getting that garlic out, a couple of peppers, because I put these things right on top. They're very easy to find. And here, let me tilt it a little bit. And get the rosemary out, my bay leaf, the carrot. There's a little bit of herb that sort of disintegrated in there, but that's okay. All right, now I've got these beautiful chickpeas. The way I know they're done is I squeeze them, and it feels firm enough, but they break down immediately. They're really flavorful because of the broth. And then this is my setup. You saw that, well, actually I've taken the cover off and I washed it. Put that back on. And I have a strainer. Don't use plastic. You don't want hot things going through plastic. It displaces some of the plastic and the chemical, and you don't need that. And I'm going to pour this still hot broth and beans into a bowl. And I'm going to let this continue to drain for a while, because what's going to happen is that I'm going to pour them onto my prepared cookie sheet. This is a cookie sheet with a piece of parchment paper on it, and I've done it without the parchment paper, and I just had to slide a thin spatula under because the chickpeas separate from the frozen tray really easily, but this is even easier. I have a wide freezer at the bottom of, I wonder if you can see my refrigerator. Yeah, there. The bottom of the freezer has enough headroom between the slide out drawers, and what I have in there is low enough that I'll simply put this in, freeze the chickpeas. I'll put them all in here, freeze them. They break apart easily if they are stuck. I put them into 1 quart Ziplock freezer bags. Some people don't want to use any plastic at all. I don't blame you. I just have no room for rigid containers like glass in my freezer, and so I do use plastic, and they'll be frozen that way. And if they are somewhat of a brick, I can just tap them on the counter and it breaks apart, and then I'll end up with probably 4, maybe 3 Ziploc baggies of the chickpeas, and again, I'll use them for everything. If you like what you heard today, share the video. Visit me at my website, nansimonson.com. Subscribe to my newsletter. The newsletter I'll be sending out on most likely Tuesday, which is this coming Tuesday, is February the 9th. I'm going to post on there what I eat for in a day, a typical day, but I have a lot of good ideas about how to prep some of what I'm talking about. So I'd love to have you get that. Of course, it's free. And you'll see all my recipes on my website. There's also a link to my book. There's also a link to my YouTube channel. And in Facebook and Instagram, I'm on each of those under Aging Powerfully with Nan. Hope you enjoyed this. Enjoy having your own homemade chickpeas. You'll see they're different, they're better. And you want to eat the beans, that's your protein, fiber, and gosh, they're just good. Take care.